Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very carefully. We are standing at a turning point in history. The world is changing faster than ever before. Power is shifting, alliances are being tested, and new leaders are rising. And in this moment, one truth has become undeniable. The United States cannot afford to risk losing India anymore. This is not just about politics. This is not just about economics. This is about the future of global strength, security, and stability.
For too long, the world underestimated the power of India. People thought of it as just a developing country. But now, look at it. One of the fastest growing economies, a hub of innovation, a nation with unmatched talent, energy, and ambition. India has become the backbone of technology, the beating heart of democracy in the East, and a rising giant that can no longer be ignored. The United States knows this. Every country knows this. And the question is not whether India is important. It is how important it truly is for the future of global balance.
Think about it. India is not just another country. It represents over 1 billion people, 1 billion dreams, 1 billion voices. And when that kind of power, that kind of energy is directed toward growth, toward innovation, toward leadership, then nothing can stop it. America understands this. If the United States loses India as a partner, it loses more than just trade. It loses the bridge to Asia. It loses an ally in freedom. It loses a strategic partner in shaping the future of the world. Look at technology. Who is powering Silicon Valley? Who is building the future of artificial intelligence, medicine, and innovation? Time and time again, it is Indian minds and Indian talent. The US cannot afford to ignore that. And look at defense. Look at the world we live in today. Conflicts, threats, instability. India stands as a shield in Asia, a force that balances power, and a nation that values freedom, democracy, and strength. This is not just an option. It is a necessity for America to stand with India. And this is not about charity. This is not about favors. This is about respect. Respect for strength. Respect for contribution. Respect for what India has achieved and what it is about to achieve in the coming decades. The United States must recognize that the relationship is not one-sided. It is a partnership of equals. It is two powerful nations standing shoulder to shoulder, building a future together. That is why it cannot risk losing India. Because losing India means losing momentum, losing influence, and losing the chance to shape a world built on freedom, innovation, and opportunity. But let me tell you this. None of this will matter if we just talk. Talk is cheap. What matters is action. The world rewards strength. And strength comes from courage, from vision, from bold steps. This is not the time for hesitation. This is not the time for half measures. It is the time for commitment, for strategy, for investment in a partnership that will define the next century. So I am calling on every leader, every policymaker, every citizen who understands the power of unity and cooperation. Take action. Build bridges, not walls. Create opportunities, not obstacles. Strengthen the bond that is not just good for America, not just good for India, but good for the entire world. India's rising economic power is no longer a prediction of the future. It is the reality of today. For decades, the world looked at India as a land of potential, as a country filled with dreams but waiting to wake up. That time is over. The dream has already turned into action. India is now one of the fastest growing major economies in the world, and the speed of its growth is astonishing. It is not just about numbers on a chart. It is about the transformation of a society that is determined to rise, no matter the obstacles. And this is exactly why the United States cannot risk losing India anymore. Think about this. In the last 2 decades, India has lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. That is not an accident. That is not luck. That is the result of relentless determination, discipline, and vision. When you take a country of over 1 billion people and give them access to education, to opportunity, to technology, you create an unstoppable force of human potential. That is exactly what we are witnessing today. India's workforce is young, hungry, and ready to shape the future of the global economy. Compare that with other nations that are aging, slowing down, and struggling to maintain momentum. India is going in the opposite direction. It is accelerating, and it is doing it at a scale the world has never seen before. Look at the global supply chain. Companies all over the world are realizing they cannot rely on one source, on one region for their future. They need diversity, they need strength. And India is stepping up to be that alternative, that reliable partner that can balance the global economy. When you have manufacturing hubs, technology hubs, and industries rising at such a rapid pace, the world pays attention, America pays attention, because if America misses out on this partnership, it misses out on the chance to be at the heart of the next industrial revolution. Let me give you another perspective. The size of the Indian consumer market. This is not a small market. This is not a niche market. This is 1 billion+ people who are young, ambitious, and ready to spend. They are demanding better products, better services, better technology. They are not satisfied with the past. They want the future. And the companies that understand this, the nations that align with this, are the ones that will dominate the global economy. America cannot afford to stand on the sidelines. It cannot afford to ignore one of the largest, fastest growing markets on the planet. And what about digital power? India is not just an economy of factories and industries. It is becoming a digital giant, with one of the world's largest populations online, with some of the most advanced digital payment systems, and with a government that is pushing innovation at every level. India is setting an example for how the future economy will look. The United States, which thrives on innovation, cannot afford to lose that connection, because when two innovation giants come together, they don't just create progress, they create revolution. Let's also talk about energy. The world is shifting from traditional power to renewable energy, to sustainability, to cleaner futures. India is making bold moves in solar, in wind, in green technology. And this is not just about saving the planet. It is about leading the industries of tomorrow. America, if it wants to maintain its leadership, must recognize that India is not a follower in this area. It is a leader. And by working together, both nations can dominate the energy transformation that will define the 20th. So when we say India's economic power is reshaping the world, we are not exaggerating. This is not hype. This is reality. The numbers prove it. The progress proves it. The ambition proves it. And the opportunity for America is crystal clear. If it embraces India as a partner, it gains access to the fastest growing engine of global growth. But if it hesitates, if it underestimates, it risks falling behind, it risks losing influence, and it risks being left out of the greatest economic transformation of our time. When we talk about the future of global security, we must understand something very clear. The world is no longer safe by default. The balance of power is shifting, and threats are evolving faster than ever before. This is not the Cold War anymore, where two superpowers stood on opposite sides. Today, the battlefield is everywhere, on land, at sea, in the skies, in cyberspace, and even in space itself. And in this new world, the United States cannot afford to stand alone. It needs strong, reliable partners. And there is no partner more important in the East than India. Think about geography. India is not just another country on the map. It sits at the crossroads of Asia, at the center of the Indo-Pacific, one of the most strategic regions in the world. Whoever controls influence in this region controls the trade routes, the energy supply lines, and the very flow of global commerce. This is why India is absolutely vital. It is the shield that balances power in Asia, the anchor that prevents instability from spreading, and the ally that ensures freedom of navigation in the world's busiest seas. The threats are real. You have rising tensions, you have aggressive neighbors, you have constant attempts to disrupt peace and stability. If India and the United States stand together, they create a wall of strength that no rival can easily challenge. But if that partnership weakens, if it is taken for granted, then the vacuum will be filled by those who do not share the values of democracy and freedom. That is why the stakes are so high. And it's not just about military strength. It is about intelligence sharing, about defense technology, about joint exercises that prepare both nations for every possible scenario. The United States brings unmatched military experience, advanced technology, and global reach. India brings strategic positioning, regional influence, and one of the largest standing armies in the world. Together, they are not just strong, they are unbeatable. Together, they can ensure that no hostile power dares to disrupt the balance in Asia or beyond. Look at what is happening in the defense industry. India is no longer content to simply buy weapons from other nations. It wants to build, to innovate, to develop its own capabilities. And this is where America has a choice. Does it stand with India, share its knowledge, its systems, its training, and create a true defense partnership? Or does it hold back, hesitate, and watch as other nations step in to fill the gap? Because let's be clear, if America does not deepen its defense ties with India, someone else will. And that would be a massive strategic loss. Let's talk about terrorism. Both countries have faced the pain, the loss, the destruction caused by terrorism. They know what it means to lose innocent lives. They know what it means to fight against those who want to destroy freedom. This shared struggle is not something to be ignored. It is a bond forged in sacrifice that makes the cooperation between America and India not just useful, but essential. Together, they can dismantle networks, cut off funding, and destroy the ideology of hate that fuels these threats. And then there is the future battlefield. Cyberspace. Wars are no longer fought only with tanks and planes. They are fought with data, with hacking, with cyber weapons that can shut down entire economies. India has some of the brightest minds in technology. America has the most advanced systems in the world. Combine that and you create a cyber shield so strong that no enemy can penetrate it. Ignore that and you leave yourself vulnerable to attacks that can cripple nations without firing a single shot. So let us be absolutely clear, the strategic defense and security of the future will depend on stronger cooperation between the United States and India. This is not optional. This is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is about survival. It is about leadership. It is about making sure that freedom wins, that democracy wins, and that strength, not weakness, defines the future of our world. When we talk about the future, there is one word that defines it. Innovation. Innovation is the engine that drives progress, the fuel that powers economies, and the weapon that secures nations. Without innovation, you are stuck in the past. Without technology, you are vulnerable, dependent, and weak. And when it comes to innovation and technology, India is not just participating, it is leading. This is why the United States cannot risk losing India anymore. Think about Silicon Valley. Think about the companies that are shaping the future. Google, Microsoft, Adobe, countless startups. Again and again, when you look at the leaders of these companies, the engineers, the innovators, the people pushing the boundaries, you see Indian talent at the very top. These are not exceptions. These are patterns. These are the proof that India is not just producing workers, it is producing visionaries, game changers, pioneers who are rewriting the rules of technology. Now imagine this. If Indian talent has transformed American companies from within, what happens when that same talent builds innovation hubs inside India itself? That is exactly what is happening right now. From Bangalore to Hyderabad, from Mumbai to Delhi, India is exploding with technology, with startups, with creativity that is reshaping industries. Artificial intelligence, space exploration, renewable energy, digital finance. India is not behind. India is racing ahead. And the question for America is simple. Do you want to be a part of that journey, or do you want to watch from the sidelines? Let us talk about digital infrastructure. India has created one of the most advanced digital payment systems in the world. Billions of transactions happen every single month. Faster, simpler, and more secure than in many so-called advanced economies. This is not just convenience. This is transformation. This is a model that the world is studying. A model that proves that when you combine innovation with scale, you can leapfrog entire generations of technology. America, if it wants to maintain its leadership, must be connected to this engine of digital growth. And think about space. Yes, space. India has already shocked the world with its missions to the moon and Mars, done at a fraction of the cost of other space programs. That is not just impressive, it is revolutionary. It shows efficiency, discipline, brilliance in engineering. Imagine what happens if the United States and India combine their space capabilities. They will not just compete, they will dominate. They will set the pace for the next great era of exploration, technology, and security. But innovation is not only about technology. It is also about people. India is one of the youngest nations on earth. Millions of young engineers, scientists, and creators are entering the workforce every single year. They are not satisfied with mediocrity. They are not content with staying behind. They are hungry, ambitious, determined to build something greater. That kind of human energy is priceless. It cannot be replicated. And if America aligns with that energy, it will ensure its own future strength for decades to come. Let's also be very clear. The battle for technology leadership is also a battle for power. Whoever leads in artificial intelligence, in quantum computing, in biotech, in clean energy, that nation will shape the 21st century. And India is not on the sidelines in this race. It is in the front, pushing hard, moving fast. For America, the choice is simple. Either join hands with India and secure a future of innovation, or risk falling behind in a world that will not wait. So when we talk about India's role in innovation and technology, we are not talking about just another partner. We are talking about an indispensable force. We are talking about a nation that is redefining what is possible. And we are talking about the one ally that can help the United States not just survive but thrive in the new technological age. When we look at the map of the world today, we see lines dividing nations. But the true division is not geographical. It is ideological. On one side, you have countries that believe in freedom, democracy, and the dignity of human beings. On the other side, you have systems built on control, suppression, and fear. And in this battle of ideas, India and the United States stand on the same side. They are not just partners of convenience. They are partners of conviction. They are bound together by shared values that make them natural allies. And that is why America cannot risk losing India anymore. Think about it. India is the world's largest democracy. Over 1 billion people living under the banner of free choice, free expression, and free will. This is not a small achievement. It is one of the greatest experiments in human history. Despite its diversity, its complexity, its challenges, India has proven that democracy can thrive even in the most difficult of circumstances. This is a message of hope for the entire world, and it is a reminder that democracy is not a luxury of the West. It is a universal principle that can unite humanity. Now imagine the power of aligning the world's oldest democracy with the world's largest democracy. When the United States and India stand together, they send a signal far beyond their borders. They send a message that freedom is stronger than oppression, that unity is stronger than division, and that the human spirit cannot be crushed by authoritarianism. This is not just symbolism, it is strategy, because in the 21st century, soft power, the power of values, is just as important as military power. or economic power. And together, India and America create a moral force that inspires nations across the globe. Let us not forget, democracy is not easy. It is not perfect. It is not without flaws. But what makes it powerful is the ability to correct itself, to improve, to grow stronger through debate and disagreement. That is what both India and America share. The courage to face their challenges openly, to embrace differences, and to keep moving forward. That is why they are trusted. That is why they are respected. And that is why they must lead together. Think about human rights. Think about the rule of law. These are not abstract ideas. These are the foundations of stability, of progress, of peace. Without them, nations collapse into chaos. With them, nations flourish. When India and the United States defend these principles together, they create a shield not just for themselves, but for the entire free world. They show that strength does not come from fear, it comes from liberty. And look at the younger generation. In both nations, young people are demanding more transparency, more justice, more fairness. They believe in the ideals of democracy, but they also want action. They want change. This shared spirit is the greatest asset both countries have. It is the fuel that will keep freedom alive for the next century. And it is why cooperation between these two democracies is not optional. It is essential. We must also remember that the battle for democracy is global. Authoritarian powers are watching, waiting, and testing the resolve of free nations. They want to see cracks. They want to see weakness. They want to see division. But when the United States and India stand shoulder to shoulder, when they speak with one voice, those who oppose freedom realize that they cannot win. They realize that the future belongs not to those who control people with fear, but to those who empower people with freedom. So let us be clear. Shared values are not just nice words. They are the strongest foundation for leadership. They are what make India and America not just allies of the moment, but allies of destiny. And as long as they remain united in their belief in democracy and freedom, they will shape the future of the world.